I will a bit talk about the future. Lars was talking about the present and what is going on right now and where we are standing today and what engines and gas can do today and in the near future. I will try to take a look of what role gas have in the future and how gas is enabling the decarbonization. So a little bit connecting back to the previous panel discussion and the previous discussions that have been here on the stage today. I believe that it's everyone knows the challenge that we have in the globe and that we have in Europe. It's to fight the climate change and to reach this 1.5 degree target overall. And as we know, the European Union has set ambitious targets for going forward. Reaching the 2020 targets, that's almost behind the door, and that's almost reached. Going to 2030, it looks good, but we still have a lot of work to do, especially on the greenhouse gas emissions side. So reducing emissions, and then going towards 2050, we need to go even more green to be carbon neutral by 2050 to actually achieve the goals to be free of fossil fuels and carbon dioxide. What is going on the globe? I believe most of us knows this. This is not a story that is only happening in Europe or only happening in Asia Pacific, for example. We can see that solar and wind is being added in tremendous amounts all over the globe. And this is of course driving the power systems of the globe to need more flexibility, to reduce the emissions and support this transition towards a carbon neutral system. What we believe when you see this kind of development of renewable energy systems is that you need something that can support this. How can you actually utilize the renewable energy when you start to build gigawatts and terawatts of renewable systems? It was already said today that the sun is not always shining, the wind is not always blowing, so you need something to pick up when there is no renewable energy coming in. And we believe that you need to have this flexibility. Today, for sure, natural gas will be the best flexible technology, already said by Lars and other speakers. Very fast ramp up, very fast starting time. You go offline when you don't need it. You can provide reserves to the system. And looking at real figures from even last year, the graphs on the right, in the middle and the right-hand side of the slide, these are actual figures from Ireland last year in May. You see there the demand is the orange line, and then you have wind coming in as the blue line in the middle graph, and the area in between is what the rest of the power system need to do, and that is presented in the green graph on the right. There is no base load anymore in renewable power systems. This is already what we see in Germany as well. This is Ireland. You will not run a coal plant on these kind of power systems and in these conditions. You need something that can actually take up these flexibility requirements. And for now we believe that this is gas. But if we look into the future, as said, EU is driving for a decarbonized society in 2050. The 2020 targets we see with the latest regulation developments, the new Energy Market Directive that has been adopted in June this year, the capacity remuneration things, the taxonomy that was already discussed. All of this is driving the story towards 2030 and beyond. And we believe that going to 2030, this already starts to be feasible with the regulatory framework that is already in place. But something more needs to happen in 2050. If we take a look at the power systems and what is the actual change that is going to happen and what the framework needs to provide, this is the power system of today, very, very much simplified in many ways. We have renewable power coming in. We have fossil fuels and we have uranium, and we already start to have biofuels available in pretty large quantities. And everything goes into industry, it goes to baseload power, it goes to flexible power. And that is providing the energy to you, to me, and to the society in order to be able to get the lights on when you flick the switch. In the current system, this is working very fine. You have baseload, you have some flexibility. But if we go forward, if we go towards more renewable energy, more wind, more solar, things start to happen. And this is now becoming the transition period and transition phase of the power systems. And what we see is happening here, there is a lot of things actually changing. The coal and oil will disappear. We already see that coal phase out is happening in many places around the globe and in Europe. We will start to see synthetic fuels come. Hydrogen is hotly debated everywhere. We will start to get synthetic gases, synthetic liquids that can be fed into the industry, to the flexible power of the power systems. And then we also start to see electrolysis and CCS. And the CCS is, in the first place, we don't really believe that this will come from power plants. The CCS will most likely in the first phases come from industry byproducts, industry where you actually have pure carbon dioxide available that can be captured. And this then can be utilized to make synthetic fuels. We also see developments on the energy storage side, both for regulatory or frequency regulation, as well as for energy shifting, more and more towards energy shifting as more renewables come in. And we see from the energy and the capacity mix that already in the transitioning phase, half of the energy of the electricity will be from renewable sources. But then if we go to the end game, here we see quite something changes as well. All the fossil fuels will disappear. Some nuclear will most likely stay in the system to support. But that is the only baseload power that there is anymore. All of the power will be flexible generation together with renewables, wind and solar and hydro. And we need to be able to provide the synthetic fuels for these kind of power plants. And this has been discussed already before today, that we need to start to see electricity as a raw material to provide raw material for other industries, to provide heating, to make fuels and so forth. And why do we believe this is possible to do? If we already today look at, we take Germany as an example. If you today, from scratch, from a green field, you would build a 100 megawatt system, you have certain options. If you go with thermal only, we have taken engines here, so you would have no renewables at all. It would be zero renewables. The levelized cost of electricity would be close to 100 euros per megawatt to run that system. If we make an optimized system, if we let the power system optimization softwares run, you give it the freedom to build the best available power system there is today, or in 2030, you would see that you will get a mix of wind, you will get a mix of solar, flexibility, and some batteries in that. you will start to overbuild in terms of capacity. In terms of megawatts, you will have 300 megawatts installed capacity in the system, but only 75 megawatt of thermal capacity. The rest will be, you will get enough energy from wind, solar, and the stored energy. And already this would take the system to 78% decarbonisation or renewable energy. And on top of that, it's cheaper than going with the traditional power system of today. The next case, if you envision a power system with only renewables, only solar and batteries, yes, it's possible to do. As you can see, you can actually provide all the power in this system with only solar and batteries, but you need tremendous amounts of solar panels and batteries in order to make this work. You need to be able to store the energy for long periods of time in order to do that. And that would be really expensive. 376 euros according to these calculations, and you would need to oversize the solar capacity 27 times, 28 times the actual demand. So that is not really feasible even from a practical point of view. If you do wind, solar and batteries, this starts to become more feasible, but still you need to oversize the capacity hugely. 9 times the wind capacity in Germany. You need a huge amount of battery storage in order to be able to save the energy for later use. So therefore we see that in the later cases, for the fifth and the sixth case, the fifth case being that you allow thermal capacity based on biofuels, so basically decarbonized fuels, and then the last case with power to gas or power to fuel type of conversions, we see that you will start to come down to reasonable amounts of capacity to be added to the system, and you will start to see that the thermal actually have a big role to play. The thermal capacity will act as a kind of energy storage for longer durations of time, and it will provide the flexibility and the stability to the power systems. And that is why, if you look at the big or the forecast for the future, the capacity factors of gas, especially baseload gas, will go down. Flexible gas will stay about the same, but in the capacity additions, you will see a lot of more of flexible gas generation and flexible generation come online, and baseload gas will start to mothball and go out of the system. So we definitely believe that gas have a big role to play in the decarbonization story and the transitioning phase from what we have today till the future. Gas will be the transition. When you start to get the excess amount of energy, you can start to provide synthetic fuels, and the already existing infrastructure can be utilized. The gas engines and other flexible gas can utilize this directly. So investing in this, now I'm looking again at Lars, you have not invested in a stranded asset. That is our pure belief. Thank you very much.